Labour wins the next election, you will be made a lot poorer by a dangerous climate fanatic with a track record of disaster, in my view. Ed Miliband, remember him? Well, yes, he will become one of the most important people in the country, the energy minister, with a big majority backed up by a load of 20-something-year-old kids behind him on the Labour benches, obsessed with going green. He will be able to do whatever he wants. Here he is, calling for an acceleration towards net zero only yesterday.
And I want to make the case for acceleration. Above all, I think there is a stark election choice. Labour's case, which I'm going to make today for climate action, is the route to lower energy bills, energy security, good jobs, and doing our duties by future generations, against a Conservative Party which is slipping from climate delay into denial, which will mean higher bills, energy insecurity, fewer jobs, and betrayal of future generations.
So let's look at what Ed wants and what that means for you. Today it was revealed he wants to bring back the boiler tax. Under the measures, boiler makers are set to be fined if they fail to meet certain targets for heat pump installations. Manufacturers will charge you more. A heat pump can cost as much as £12,000. Labour will probably subsidise that, so your tax will go up. What they don't tell you is that a trial found that 81% of homes fitting a heat pump needed a new cylinder and 93% needed new radiators. So you will have to pay for that as well. Oh, and you'll also have to insulate your home. And even when you've done that, when it gets into minus temperatures, your energy bill could be £50 a day. He wanted to launch a £28 billion green energy plan, which Labour scrapped because it was unworkable and unaffordable. He somehow managed not to get sacked or forced to resign over that. Well, Mr Miliband still wants that £28 billion, which should be a huge concern for everybody because he simply does not care about wasting public money. In fact, he is probably the most expensive policymaker in British history. He was the cabinet minister in Gordon Brown's government and put forward legislation committing Britain to an 80% cut in CO2 emissions. International cost estimates put it at over £1 trillion. He was responsible for Labour getting into bed with Just Stop Oil. He brought Dale Vince into the party's bosom, literally being OK with climate fanatics there. Mr Miliband pushed for no new oil and gas licences. That cost Labour support with the unions. So you could argue that he's quite bad at politics as well. Although we already knew that, didn't we? Because after he knifed his own brother in the back, he unveiled his stone tablet of pledges, like a socialist Moses, only to get a kicking at the general election and pave the way for Jeremy Corbyn to lead the Labour Party.
These 6 pledges are now carved in stone.
The Ed Stone, by the way, in case you're wondering where it is, was last seen at a pub garden somewhere around the Chelsea area. Seriously, what a legacy. He pushed for Labour to commit to the national grid being carbon-free by 2030, which is apparently impossible. Yesterday, the National Grid said that it could not possibly hit net zero until at least 2035. A week ago, he said that he would lift the de facto block on onshore wind farms at the stroke of a pen. So if you live in a rural area with a nice view, you can wave goodbye to that. It's completely pointless anyway. Just today, our National Grid shows that we got almost as much energy from France as we did from wind. Gas and nuclear leading the way. Everything this man has touched has either been an expensive disaster, reversed, unworkable, or deemed to be impossible to achieve. He might say he's a dreamer. Well, he'd be an absolute nightmare for your bank balance.